Hello boys and girls and welcome to the latest edition of Dad and Lad's 5-word challenge. Now this week we have been provided the words again from Germany, and this time from a little girl called Sonja, aged 5. And the words we were given are
gnome, oven, bee, moon and girl.
So listen out for those words during the story. And we hope you like your story, Sonja. The title of the story is The Gnome with No Home. Meet Michael. He is a gnome.
He wasn't always called Michael either, but it sounds a lot better than barcode number 361478900023, which he had been called when he was first sold at the garden shop.
What a colourful place it was. And that was just the shelves that Michael and all his brothers and sisters were sitting on.
But if you include all the colourful plants, tools, ornaments and garden furniture, then your eyes would be in for a treat.
If you liked gardening, of course.
Now, have you ever wondered what happens in a toy shop at night when no one is around? Do you think they wake up and have adventures like they do in Toy Story movies?
Well, gnomes love to have a bit of fun and cause some mischief too.
One night in the garden shop, they mixed up all the plants. The staff and the customers were very confused. Michael and the other gnomes found it really funny as they kept on giggling to themselves.
However, as spring approached and the shop got busier and busier with people wanting to make their garden nice for the summer, Michael's life would change forever as he was picked off the shelf and placed in a lady's shopping trolley.
You look perfect. My husband's going to love you, she said.
The nice lady was right. Her husband really did like the gnome and decided to call it Michael, after his favourite racing car driver, Michael Schumacher, as he set off to find a home for his new addition in the garden.
Wow, what a garden it was too.
Mr. Henk, the gnome's new owner, really did like motor racing. So much so that he built a miniature Nürburgring in his backyard for his radio-controlled race cars.
In the warmer months, the Henk family would have barbecues and host races in the garden. Friends and family from far and wide would have a great time cheering on their favourite cars.
And Michael the gnome was the centrepiece with the important job of holding the checkered flag. He loved his home.
Sadly, though, after years of fun, Mr. Henk and his wife decided to move. Their children all grown up and families of their own. The house was now simply too big for just the two of them.
The big day arrived, and Michael, checkered flag still in hand, was waiting to be scooped up and placed in a box to be taken to the new house.
Only he was never picked up.
As the new owners moved in, Michael awaited a fresh start, but didn't seem to arrive as the garden became overgrown and started to look more like a jungle. The once perfect racetrack now a mess as weeds sprouted through every part of the circuit.
Summer turned into autumn, autumn turned into winter, and winter turned into spring. The grass now so high that Michael couldn't see anymore. It was always so dark now, even when it was meant to be daytime.
One day, the grass was finally cut. Only it didn't go so well for the poor gnome.
The garden was in such a mess that the grass and weeds had to be chopped down first, as it was too high and too thick. for the lawnmower. This was the first problem for Michael, as one wild swing of the chopping tool by the new owner caught the end of the gnome's nose, chipping the paintwork.
Ah! The owner shouted, picking Michael up and tossing him to the side into another pile of weeds.
Next, he got trodden on, and this was clearly all it took for the very frustrated gardener to say lots of naughty words as he grabbed the gnome, stomped out of the garden, and left it by the road.
At first, Michael didn't realise what was happening. He just thought that he was finally being moved somewhere nice, where he could watch the world go by again. Maybe he was now going to be a security guard.
That was until bin day arrived, and he was picked up by someone else. Hey, I'm not rubbish. Put me down, Michael tried to say, but no one was listening.
The gnome didn't get thrown into the big hungry belly of the bin lorry, though. No, he was strapped to the front of it like a mascot. It was horrible, and Michael was scared.
It wasn't long before he was thrown out again. Only now the poor gnome was really smelly and dirty. He was alone. He was a gnome with no home.
One evening, moon shining bright, Michael decided that he was fed up with being sad and on his own, so he set off in search of a new home.
The gnome stopped at many parks and gardens, but still no one would take him. He just kept on ending up in the rubbish.
Despite all the disappointment, he remained determined to find happiness once again.
It was this never give up attitude that provided what he had been searching for when his journey took him to a nature reserve, where he was found by a girl called Sonja, who took Michael home to her garden.
Sonja loved nature and the garden.
Her garden was full of lots of pretty flowers, birds and insects, but the little girl loved bees the most.
It all started when she found an injured bee lying next to a plant and went to get her mum. At first, Sonja was frightened. What if it stung her?
Oh no! The girl's mother explained that bees are very important and won't sting you on purpose if you just leave them alone. It turns out that the injured bee was not injured at all. It was just very tired.
Super Mum showed Sonja a neat trick by putting some sugar water on a spoon and patiently waiting for the tired bee to have a good drink.
Suddenly, buzz, whoosh!
The tired and dopey bee sprung into life and took off like a plane on a runway.
From that moment on, Sonja was fascinated with bees. She wanted to make sure she never found a tired bee in her garden again, and ordered her parents to buy all the right plants for the garden. There was even a wild flower section.
But one birthday, the little girl got something that she never thought existed.
A bee hotel!
Sonja took so much care of it that bees kept checking into the hotel. They even kept coming back. Season after season, more and more bees would appear, and another hotel was needed.
One Sunday morning, on a family walk around the local nature reserve, Sonja stumbled across a rather dirty, scruffy and smelly gnome with a chipped nose lying in the bushes, and decided to pick it up.
What do you want that thing for, sweetie? Look, it's damaged for a start, the girl's father said.
The response he got made him smile. No one is perfect, Papa, and with a bit of clean and some paint on his nose, he'll be able to keep an eye on all of the bees, she said with a big smile on her face.
For the rest of the walk, Sonja skipped along the path happily, telling Michael all about her garden, the flowers, the birds, the insects, and of course all the bees that he would need to look after.
This was clearly a very important job, the gnome thought, now smiling once again.
As soon as she got home, the excited little girl gave Michael a really good clean and ordered her dad to fix and paint his nose, while her mum made the gnome a new outfit as Sunday lunch cooked in the oven.
Before evening arrived, the gnome was ready, looking fresh and wearing his uniform, as he was placed carefully in the garden.
Michael was no longer alone, or a gnome with no home, and thanks to Sonja, he had found what he'd been looking for: happiness.
Dressed in his beekeeper outfit, the gnome continues to keep watch over the garden and the bees that Sonja loves so much.
The end.